Well, and that was fourth game in 8 days, and want to thank the students and the fans for making the Double A. Turned it into the Dome of Doom there for a little while. Now I'm usually not very animated, but I guess I had to get him going there in a couple of stretches in the second half when we needed to stop. And that's a team that you look at their record and you would say, I mean, that shouldn't have been as close to the game. But if you really watch New Mexico, and especially in the conference games, I mean, other than a game at UNLV that they got away from in the second half, I mean, they've played everybody tough in this league. I mean, that was the same game that Colorado State just had to play the other night. And for our guys to just, I said, just to find a way. And that was all it is. I mean, the guys stuck together, and it's one of those deals where you don't apologize for winning, but and we're going to enjoy this one. But there's some things that we're going to have to take from it and learn from it. You're not going to win a lot of games if you allow teams to shoot 66% in the second half like we did. Luckily, we shot 72% and did a good job of following the game plan of getting the ball inside. And you saw that with Maldo and Graham, who both started out a little slow, and then for them to really close. And that's with a team like us. I mean, that's why when in those close games, when you have the ability to play inside out and get the ball inside, and if you don't get a basket, create some easy threes. And off those double teams, we created a lot of easy threes, rotation threes tonight. Not as many in the second half, but we did a good job of getting to the foul line and just found a way to win the game. And just proud of the guys' effort.
Jeff, you often refer to Graham Ike as Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry didn't get it done tonight thanks to Logan Wilson. But your Derrick Henry did get it done. What a luxury that is to have him.
Yeah, no, good players make good coaches. And you have a guy like him who, you can just put the ball in his hands. And there's so few players in the country that have the ability to score with their back to the basket. And then to also have the ability to, pass it out of the double team and create easy shots. And he's a special player and continues to show that. And had to get after him a little bit at the first media timeout. I didn't, like the pace and kind of where he was at. And luckily he responded. Sometimes, you don't usually have to get him going, but felt that I had to get after him a little bit. And luckily he responded, but like I knew he would. And it's nice to have that guy. It's nice to have Derrick Henry, even though the Tennessee Titans couldn't get it done tonight. But congratulations to Logan Wilson. Hopefully we can see a Logan Wilson, Josh Allen AFC Championship game next week.
Jeff, what was your vantage point on the charge that Maldo took when New Mexico kind of had a chance to steal the game there?
Well, I mean, I was still probably trying to figure out what went on, with Drake and Wenzel and Maldo throwing the ball back and around like a hot potato and giving it to the other team. But that's what Maldo does, and we talk about it all the time. I mean, it's got to make winning plays, and for him to beat him to the spot like he did, and that's what. That's what a guy like Maldo does. It's why you win games. It's why we're 15-2 is that you find ways to do that. But probably should not have been in that situation with the three that we fouled the 3-point shooter, and then then we come down and throw the ball away. But luckily, I thought for the most part we did a good job of executing down the stretch. We just got to make free throws. I mean, I'm not sure what it was. You guys probably know better than I do, but down the stretch right there, I mean, we probably made 50% of our free throws. And that's a recipe for losing games.
Hey Jeff, just mentioned didn't hit all the free throws there down the stretch, but had 35 attempts on the day. What does that do just in terms of kind of slowing down momentum of the other team whenever you're able to get to the line and stop some of those runs?
That's what we do in terms of, when you play inside out and you put, Graham's number one in the country in terms of fouls drawn per 40 minutes. It draws almost 9 fouls per 40. And I think Maldo, he's top 40 in the country. He's right around six fouls drawn per 40 minutes. And so when, those guys have the ability to, put that foul pressure on the other team to where now you can get in the bonus. And then the last 10 minutes of a game, now you're in the double bonus, which, we also missed, I think, the front end of 2 1-on-1s, which is like missing 2 free throws as well. But, I just know this from an analytics standpoint, if you can make your layups, you can make free throws, and if you can make open threes, those are the shots you want, and those are the shots that we take.
Jeff, obviously, Graham was pretty dominant tonight. But what can you say about his awareness inside the paint? I mean, he seems like he knows, just like with every situation, just whether to go up with it, draw a foul, kick it out. I mean, that's an impressive skill for a big that age.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I recruited him so hard. The one thing that hopefully during my course of my college career is that I've had the ability to find guys that have really good feel for the game, and it's something that we look for and we try to identify. And he's a guy that he wasn't blessed with just incredible athleticism, even though he's a pretty good athlete, but he had to use his brains and his skill when he was younger to play, and he was always the biggest kid, and he's always seen a lot of different situations, and we've put him in God knows how many double. We've doubled him every single possession pretty much since the start of the summer. Now there'll be some segments where I'm like, hey, I want him to actually see the ball go in the basket, so we won't double, and then he just demoralizes our post players in practice because he scores every single time down. But we've given him every different look, and Maldo as well, in terms of what you're going to see in terms of double teams, whether that's coming off the ball, whether that's coming off the four, whether that's coming off the weak side low. I mean, we give him those looks every day in practice. And so when you've had probably 3,000 possessions of being doubled over the course of the last 6 months, when you get into the game, I mean, you're ready for those situations. And then when you have hands like he does, where you can basically just hold it with one hand and be able to fake a pass with one hand and pull it back. I mean, those are things that you can't teach.
Jeff, what can you say about Wenzel's outside game, hitting 4 big threes there in the first half?
No, he's done a great job of taking advantage of the opportunity with X being out, and he's a guy that I've always said from a skill standpoint. I mean, he's a guy that can help us in a lot of different ways, and sometimes not until you get your feet really wet and you get those real minutes, to where you're not playing tentative. And I think now over the course of these last kind of 3 games where we've had no choice, but hey, you got to play. I'm not sure what he played tonight. 32 minutes. Now you can't be hesitant. And I thought in the first half he did a really good job of making them pay. We'll go back and talk about some of the turnovers. A couple ones that he just uncharacteristic. But when you have a guy like him with his size, I mean, people until you stand up next to him, I mean, he's good. I mean, he's a legit 6'6", and but just has a good feel how to play. And I think with him and Noah, when those guys, those teams that are small and athletic, like the last 2 teams we played, when they start to try to really press up on us and try to push us out, I mean, those guys have the ability to go make plays. And I thought Wenzel in the first half did a really good job of that, created that easy and one for Graham. But in the second half, he had a couple plays that I wish he could have gotten back. But he played a big part in us, winning that game and finding a way to win 4 games in 8 days, which is not easy to do.
Coach, can you talk about Maldo's leadership on the floor and together?
Well, I mean, I think that goes, Maldo, but that also goes within our entire team. I mean, Maldo's been in a lot of situations. Maldo's, I've talked at length about how smart he is, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being. And the guys respect him, and he puts forth the time and the effort to where they do listen. And I think at the end of the game, which hopefully we can get a picture of, was when those guys had their arms together at half court, locked. I mean, that just shows you who we are. I mean, we're just a group of guys that that really care about one another, have no agendas. And there's times where certain guys they'd like to play more, and but everybody's on the same page and everybody's pushing pulling in the same pushing in the same direction. And in terms of trying to find ways to win games, and Maldo's a big part of that. But that also goes with everybody on the team, 1 through 15. Those guys on the bench, those guys do a tremendous job. I mean, BCBs, and then probably the unsung hero behind the scenes this past 8 days has been Dallas, my trainer. I mean, he's had to do a really good job of making sure that Maldo's ready to go, getting Graham ready to go, trying to get X to where we can get him back sooner or later. And so it's a collective effort.